What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today. I was about to go to bed, but man, we're about to break the veil of $80,000. We're at 79.6K with a high right now of 79.775. It is the 10th of November. We have 18 hours, 28 minutes left in this day and in this week. What a bullish, phenomenal finish to this week it is. You guys, we've been saying this. And specifically what I've been saying over the past couple weeks in basically every Bitcoin video is that each week, right? We closed last week's candle right here. We're about to close this week's candle in 18 hours, 28 minutes. But as each week goes by until we get to that last week of November, right? It's going to get more and more convincing that we're going to be at that 100 plus K target by the end of November. I've been calling for it. Right, that's a very bold call. I know it is, and I know that it seemed crazy when we were below $70,000, right? But as I said, each week it's going to seem less crazy, right? And we're getting to that now. Even to the people now, we're at 80K right now, okay? And it's the 10th of November. We still have a full 20 days left in the month, right? 20 days and 18 hours. Even now, a lot of people I think would think that the $100,000 price to $115,000 by the end of this month is a crazy idea, right? But that's just the end of this week, right? We still have the end of next week and the end of the week after that. As each week goes on, you're gonna start to hear it. And I think with this move right now, I think with the end of this week, the narrative will actually be out there. I'm not going to be the only person calling for this, but $100,000 by the end of this month of November, it's going to become a reality as the weeks continue to grow. What gave me the premise for this bold call? Why am I expecting that we're going to move up so fast? Some of you might be like, no, C-Zar. We'll move up to 100,000, but it's going to take more time. It'll be sometime next year that we're up at those prices, not by the end of this year. Why are you thinking it's going to move up so fast? Here's why. It's not just because we're in a breakout move. It's because of where we are, the breakout move that we are in this given cycle, right? In any given cycle. Go back, anybody that's watched the channel over the past couple weeks, I've ingrained this in your brain painstakingly, right? This is like that lesson that you get in elementary school. It's a fundamental lesson. You've done it a billion times, and then your teacher or your educator, they punish you by making you do this lesson that you already know. It's just so repetitive. I'm repeating it this way, right? It's not a punishment, but it is to ingrain it in you. That might not have been the best analogy, but just roll with it, guys. Okay, so the idea is this. Right? You have a high right here. Okay, your very first halving in Bitcoin's history was in 2012. It was November 28th, so it was this week. This week here. It says 26th of November, but that was the week of the 26th. It started 2 days later. In this week, it was the 28th. Okay, you had a high before this week. Halving, very first halving, 2012. That high. What happened after you broke your pre-halving high? What happened? In a 4-week span, because I wanted to get like a month's time frame, right? 4-week span, including the week that you broke out, okay, from the low of that week. No, I'm sorry. How I've done it is actually from the high, okay, from the high, the pre-halving high, including this week, we go 1, 2, 3, 4. How high were you after that? 56% up, okay, from the high. It wasn't a 56% move. It was a 56% move from the high, and it didn't stop there. It kept going, right? It didn't start here. That's just where it broke out, okay? 56% move from the high, 4-week period. Let's go to the next one. 2016, July 9th, got it ingrained, right? July 9th, that would have been right here this week. July 4th, it would have been that week because the next week started on the 11th. So that was the week of the halving, 2016. That was our second halving ever. Our all-time, or not all-time high, but our pre-halving high was right there, okay? When we broke that pre-halving high within a 4-week period, this time it was actually a little bit quicker, okay? Or maybe it wasn't, because we broke it on this week. Okay, so including that week, okay, from the high, we go 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, 46.7%, 56.7, 46.7. Okay, to the next one, right? In a 4-week time frame, breaking above the pre-halving high. Once you break above it, not the move coming from the low to the high or the whatever, right? And it did persist afterwards, right? It corrected a little bit and then it persisted afterwards, but within a 4-week time frame, 46.7% and 56% or whatever it was before, those are no small accomplishments, okay? Pre-halving high this time was over here, okay? Our halving was May 11th, 2020. Now, some of you might be like, well, that's not our pre-halving high. I think it is. I think we moved up earlier, so we had the repercussions last longer. But I think that's our discernible pre-halving high. Maybe this is our discernible pre-halving high. And if that's the case, when we broke this, okay, which would have been this week, 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks later, we were only up 12%. Is that right? That'd be your pre-halving high from your high. Oh no, sorry, that's not right there. I thought it was like 18.7, 18.7%. Okay, 18.7%, and that one's kind of small, right? We had a kind of dud market last cycle, so maybe that makes sense in that respect. But it's definitely an outlier compared to the 46 and the 56% growth that we saw in a 4-week time frame from breaking your pre-halving high. If we do this, which is in my opinion that's the true pre-halving high, and we go from when we broke that week, right? It was this week here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Continued to grow afterwards, but we're just going 4 weeks out. That was 36.8%. Still small relative to 46 and 56%, but closer than 18%, okay? 4-week time frame after breaking the pre-halving high each cycle, okay? That's when you started moving fast, okay? And then I would attest too that this move wasn't comparable to the breakout moves post-halving that we see. This move seems to be more in congruence with that, right? Our post-halving moves, whenever we, like at the halving, around the halving, and even after the halving, we consolidate. We're boring. That's what this seems like, right? We're boring for a little bit. And you go back any halving, that's how it is. For like a 5-month period, 3-month period, 6-month period. We just went through like a 7.5-month period where that was the case. This breakout move after the halving, which is closer on to what we're looking for, 36.8%, even though that's the smallest one so far. That makes more sense, okay, to me. I hope I'm making sense to you. I'm surprised we're not above 80K. I was hoping we'd get to above 80K by the time I got here. But from this pre-halving high to where we are now, we're only up 8%. To get to 87K, that's about 18%, right? Which was the smallest, if we were to be like very nitpicky and count this high here as the pre-halving high, which I don't think it was. I don't think the cycle agrees with that at all. But if we're to be very nitpicky, that would mean 87K is the minimum expected target based off of this metric within a 4-week period after breaking above this high, which we have done this week as of right now. This is the first week, okay? Is it? 73.5. Yes, it's the first week. We got close this last week, but right, it's time's a blur. But we didn't quite do it this week, so this is the first week, right? We have 3 more weeks to go, and historically speaking, it's not 18% that we stop at. It's at a minimum 36% that we stop at, okay? 36.7, I think is what it was actually, right? Which would be closer to there. That's at 100,000 on the dot. 56% would put us all the way up. It's a little bit lower than that, right? It puts us at like 115,000, 100 to 115,000 in a 4-week time. 4-week time, right? That's what this whole thing's been based off of. Pre-halving high, breaking above it, 4 weeks from there, including this week, 1, 2, 3, 4. It says 3 weeks, but that's because it doesn't include this week here. That's the week, the last week of November, the 25th of November. Okay, so I'm going to say it again, the same message that I started the video with. I could have ended the video with, but I'm going to end it here after reiterating painstakingly this thought process in your brain so that it sticks, right? I'm not saying we're going to be at 100K for likes and clicks by the end of the month. I hope it gets me likes and clicks and subscribers. Great, that'd be awesome. Sweet. I'm not saying it because of that. I'm saying it because that's what the data is suggesting. And it's a bold call, and I think I'm the only person on YouTube making it. But I think, just as I've been saying, I think now there's going to be more people making that call. It's still going to be a whisper, but there's going to be more people making that call. By the end of next week, it's going to be a hope, a dream, right? More people are going to be accepting of it. It's not going to be so crazy seeming, but still kind of crazy seeming. And then as we get past next week, you're gonna hear it all over YouTube. Bitcoin's about to break 100K, and that it's gonna be by the end of this month. You might not hear people say specifically by the end of this month, but by the end of this month, the rhetoric, the dialogue, the conversation that's gonna be surrounding crypto is that nobody expected Bitcoin to move this fast, and I don't get why, because the evidence in the charts would suggest nothing less than something that would be at $100,000 by the end of this month. Okay, and it sounds crazy, it sounds invigorating. I get excited and goosebumps every time I think about it, let alone when I say it. But I'm not saying it for that reason. I'm not saying it because it's emotional. I'm not saying it to get you jacked up, although it should get you jacked up. It gets me jacked up. I'm not saying it for any of that BS, any of that vain stuff. I'm not saying it to be right or to be wrong. I don't care, right? You guys know me. I'm saying it because It's what's in the charts. I'm saying it because it's not a message that people are saying right now. And I think it's something we need to address. I'm saying it because what I hear is that we're not going to see prices above 90K by the end of this year. We're not going to see 100K until halfway through next year, or like March or April. That's what I'm hearing people say. I'm saying this now because I don't think there's enough urgency, and I think people are going to get caught off guard with how fast this moves up, and it doesn't make sense why, because every single aspect of where we are in the cycle right now would suggest that it's go time. It's not this, right? It's not even this, right? It's this and more, right? We're at the strongest point in any cycle. Go back and look. I'm not going to do it here. We can just zoom out a little bit, but go back and look. The strongest phase of every cycle was the post-halving move, not the pre-halving move. And we're in the post-halving move now. I'm going to end the video there. If you like the video, hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. 100K. Just as confident in it this week as I was last week, and I'll be just as confident in it next week when we're above 90K or near there as I am this week. The only thing that's going to change is other people's confidence in the idea that we're going to be above $100,000 by the end of this month. I really do think that that's what's going to happen. So if not, at a bare minimum, 87K makes sense, but high to low here, 105,000 at the 1886. 123,000 at the 2272. Bitcoin likes its 2272. It likes the 180 or the 1618 as well, but close enough to 100K there. Last month I made the call that we'd be at new all-time highs by the end of the month, and we got so close, but I fell just shy. Maybe by the end of this month we'll be at 99,000, and then to start off December, that's when we'll break it. I'm okay with being wrong, right? But just like last month, even though I was wrong, I'm not going to feel any remorse for making these calls, man. It's the urgency. You need the urgency, right? You can see why. We're moving up fast. We're moving up real fast. All right, take care. Hit that like button, subscribe. I'll see you guys on the next one. Weekly RSI is getting overbought. I love it, man. Go back just for fun. If anybody's got TradingView, they do technical analysis. Go back and just see what happened, right? If you don't know how to do this, take a vertical line. Go over here, take a vertical line. Put it on any week where, you see this week here, you weren't in the overbought zone, right? You were below it. So go to the week that you finally got in the overbought zone and see what you did the following weeks from there, the next month or two. See what you did. Just go back in time. Anytime you've gotten a weekly RSI into the overbought zone, you know, sometimes there's times like this, little nothings. Sometimes there's times, I'm trying to find something like this, right? Hopefully we don't get stuff like that. We get stuff that's more like this, anything really that we normally experience. But just go back in time. Go through and see what happens 4 weeks after that, within a month period, how much the price grows once you get into the overbought zone. That's what we're doing now, right? First week being overbought, first week breaking the pre-halving highs. Historically speaking, I think calling for $100,000 is at the low end of the spectrum. 110 to 120, that's actually more appropriate. As crazy as it sounds now, as the weeks go on, it'll seem less and less crazy, and it'll be accepted as reality. We will accept nothing less than 100K by the end of the month. People might laugh at it now. Maybe they'll laugh at it then. I don't know. I'm going to stop talking, though. Bye-bye.